hate them with a passion.
When it comes down to black and gold and black and purple, bam.
We're going to hit pound for pound, inch for inch, yard for yard.
Here we go. Antonio Brown.
Flacco.
Terrell Suggs. Who's your mind? Who's your mind?
Sideline.
Oh, this brings back memories.
Uh-oh, he's doing his dance. He's doing his dance.
Oh, that's my boy, Hines Ward. I got Hines' autograph right on my back. Touchdown, Steelers.
This is Baltimore.
This is Charm City.
We're Yinzers, baby. Welcome to Pittsburgh.
This is where it starts. Football starts here.
Two ardent, intense fan bases, no doubt, on the edge of the seat. Getting ready now for Baltimore and Pittsburgh from the Steel City. Roethlisberger giving a hug to Mike Vick. Marcus Wheaton and the offense as the Steelers will be seeing the football first. Baltimore won the toss and defers. He's going to be out for about a month, but he's still leading.
Still leading the team, and as we watch this game waiting for kickoff, we know the Baltimore Ravens, talking to John Harbaugh and the players, they feel the pressure, they know the situation they're in, and as usual, I think they're ready for the battle.
Dre Archer is back, along with Jordan Todman and Justin Tucker ready to send it downwind. The winds are pretty fierce. He's had only one kick returned so far this year out of 16 kickoffs. And this won't be returned either. So let's bring out Mike Vick. He told us this week, Phil, I've got to serve my purpose. That's why they brought me here, in case I was needed. And he's been studying up for the last month, trying to understand this playbook of Todd Haley. Says he feels like a rookie again, learning a complicated system.
Yeah, I think I was down on the field before the game, and I talked to Mike Vick, and he just said, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. He goes, I want this to really go well because I know what he meant. He wants to stay in this league and keep playing football.
Starting for the 112th time in his career, and he's going to come out in the gun. We expect to see a lot of him tonight under center, but comes out with a three-receiver set from the 20. Here he goes, looking to throw. And that's over the head of Heath Miller. And Vick hit the ground. He was knocked down by Brandon Williams. A rough start.
Well, he gets hit quickly. They're trying to throw a nice, easy play to get him started. Spread the field. It was a screen inside to Heath Miller, and they forgot to block him long enough up front. And you said it, Mike Vick took a hit.
It doesn't appear to be too gusty up there, but we saw the flags for the anthem, and they're blowing.
I was down on the field, and it was strong, where it could affect the punting game and even some throws.
Start. Offense, number 66, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, Jim, they want to get Mike Vick off to a good start because you said it, this is a totally different offense than he's ever run before, and they want to get his confidence and his teammates' confidence going. So the screenplay was a good start, and you expect him, like you said, we expect him to get under center, play action passes, things that he does very well at.
Hands it off here to Le'Veon Bell. Look at the Ravens crashing in across the line of scrimmage and knocking him back a couple of yards. Arrington the first to get there.
Well, you know, you talk about Todd Haley, offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and look, this coaching staff, and you heard it from Mike Tomlin, they were excited. It's a challenge to them to change this offense enough where it can fit the new quarterback Mike Vick and give him a chance to have some success out there tonight.
So a bumpy little start here after kind of a miscommunication and lack of execution on a screenplay on first down. The quarterback got hit, then a penalty, then a loss of 2. And now they're facing third, we'll call it 3rd and 16. And from the pocket, Vick got his target. It's Bell. Webb is there to try to get him. And coming back to help out and to assist with the tackle is Zadarius Smith.
Well, this is what you want to do. They're going to play a safe defense, the Baltimore Ravens. Everybody's going to drop back. They want him to throw it short. Good job. Get that first completion. Then come up and make the tackle. But, Jim, even getting a completion, even though it's not a first down, does make a quarterback feel pretty good to at least get that out of the way.
Picks up 9 on the play, and Jordan Berry will punt it to Michael Campanaro, who has to step up to the 40 again. That punt was into the wind, and a fair catch is at the 40, 37-yard boot. Good starting point here for Joe Flacco and the Ravens. 82 wins since coming into the league. That's second most by any quarterback since 08, behind Brady's 84.
Well, you talk about Joe Flacco, a secondary, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have really struggled. They play safe defense. The corners are way off like they are right now as I look down the field, and they dare quarterbacks to throw it outside, but they're daring the wrong guy because Joe Flacco loves to throw it towards the sideline.
He's got 2 tight ends, and he comes out flinging and has a very dangerous pass in the area of Steve Smith. That was Will Allen who had a play on the ball.
Well, what happened is the play can be there, but Joe Flacco looking right, and watch number 20 read the quarterback and get underneath and almost make the play.
Will Allen, 12-year man out of Ohio State, had a big fourth-quarter interception in St. Louis last Sunday of Nick Foles. There's a completion. Oh, it's dropped. It's incomplete. Marlon Brown unable to hold on to it. Took a hit, too, by Blake.
Well, that's just part, you're this Baltimore offense and this team. You got what you wanted. Stopped the other team's offense, took his eyes off the football. You got to know and see the defenders close. Big drop early in the game.
So 3rd and 10 coming up after 2 pass plays. Forsett flanks the quarterback. It's been a disappointing start to the season for the running game in Baltimore after Forsett came on so strong, Pro Bowler a year ago. Here comes the blitz by Pittsburgh. Flacco in trouble, and he goes down at the 35-yard line. Tuitt gets to him along with Will Allen.
Stephon Tuitt, when you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they're not the kind of defense that just comes off the edge and has those great pass rushers. Just like the Ravens, they get to the quarterback by sending extra defenders. They sent 1 extra guy there. The coverage was good. That's why they got the sack.
First sack of Flacco since week 1 at Denver. A streak of 124 pass plays since he had last been sacked. And that's Cook backing up the returner Brown to the 7. Antonio Brown up to the 20-yard line and runs out of bounds with Taliaferro there to push him out. 57-yard downwind punt, 2 incompletions and a sack. Ball squirted out, but Flacco falls on it. Each team 3 and out at the beginning. Mike Vick was a huge college star at Virginia Tech, and then at Atlanta once got within a game of taking them to the Super Bowl. Back in 07, convicted of conspiracy and running a dogfighting operation after serving time. And the suspension lifted. He went to the Eagles, on to the Jets last year, where he enjoyed playing for Rex Ryan. He said he could have done more. But now, with strong ties to the same area in Virginia as Tomlin, he's got his chance with the Steelers. And he gives it to Bell, who cuts outside and then butts heads with Jimmy Smith. But, you talk about Mike Vick and the players around him. He is a true superstar to this generation of players. Mike Tomlin talked to us about it and says he handles that stardom very humbly.
Yeah, he does. Now, look, he walks in the locker room. A lot of these guys are like, oh, my gosh, Mike Vick. I bought his shoes when I was a kid. I wanted to be a quarterback by the way he played. And I got to say this. My son played with him last year with the New York Jets, and he says he's great in the locker room, a very good teammate, and no question, Jim, he is a changed man because of that experience that he had in spending time in jail.
2nd and 3 from the 28. And this time it goes to Williams. D'Angelo Williams, who stepped up those first 2 weeks when Bell was serving a suspension at the beginning of the year and was the 2nd leading rusher in the league through the first 2 weeks. He's got a gain of 8 and a first down.
Well, they'd like to run the football so that way they can make it simple for the quarterback. If they run it, more people come towards the line of scrimmage. It makes it easier to throw it, of course, for the quarterback. Now, for Mike Vick tonight, they like to
Bell on first down. Look at that patience as he finds an open hole and then spins out across for another first down. Le'Veon Bell, good block there by David DeCastro, the right guard, gain of 11.
Yeah, David DeCastro, good, maybe the best run-blocking offensive lineman on the team, and not a good sign for the Baltimore Ravens defensive front. Why? Because they're getting blocked and they're not shedding those offensive linemen. So you've got to do that against these running backs. Le'Veon Bell, you said it, patience, the ability to do anything with the football that he wants. Inside, run with power, and of course, we've already seen it, he can bounce outside also.
So they've run it 3 straight plays, picking up 26 yards. And now on 1st and 10, Vick on the mark to Marcus Wheaton, who's down at the Baltimore 35-yard line. Gain of 18.
Well, they come up. They want to stop the run, so you get Mike Vick. Look at the time and look how wide open the receiver is on the outside. That's exactly what Todd Haley would like to do a little bit. And the one thing you can say, no matter what the age, some of these quarterbacks we see in this league now, their arms never die. And Vick still has a top-flight, streak-wise, NFL arm.
Yeah, he can zip it. And again, going into a pretty good breeze here in this direction. First down carry. It's Bell hopping along and then finally falling to the ground after a gain of about 3. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every story, every highlight, right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile. So they have Le'Veon Bell back. Last week he returned against St. Louis. And that win against the Rams had about 130 scrimmage yards in that game, plus a touchdown. He's a special talent.
No question. My first look watching him last week, he looks in shape, of course, looks a little thinner, which he is, and looks fast.
They get the ball to him here as Vick rolls out. He's only going to pick up about 2. And he likes being involved in that passing game. When you talk to Le'Veon Bell, he likes to joke with the coaches, hey, I'm a wide receiver.
Well, why does he like it? Because it gets him outside away from all those big guys who want to hit him. And when you talk to the Ravens on the defensive side, what's the key tonight? Well, it's really simple. 26, Le'Veon Bell, and 84, Antonio Brown. Just watch them. The football always goes to those 2 guys when they're out on the field.
3rd down coming up for the Steelers from the Ravens 30. Both Bell and Williams in the game, in the backfield. Fake it to Williams. And Vick takes off. Going to be stopped short by a couple. And it's going to be 4th and 2, and they're going to bring out the field goal unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Kick the field goal, get the team off to a positive start, and, you know, safe play call that time by the Steelers offense, and also a very safe defense so far for the Ravens. They want Mike Vick to have to stand back there, make the decisions, and put the ball on the money to beat this defense tonight.
So Scobie, the all-time leading scorer in Jacksonville, they traded for him in camp. This is from 45 yards. That's after Sweesom had to go on IR. And the kick by Scobie is able to just find its way inside that right upright. Hooked at the last moment. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. Experience truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer. FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL, the Carnegie Museum of Natural History. Here in the Steel City. And we saw during that break, Mike Vick meet up with Ben Roethlisberger, who's still, I'm sure, over there coaching him up a little bit on this system.
Absolutely, but I get a chance, I'll talk about it a little, and this is not over-exaggeration. It is a 180 from what he's ever learned to what he's learning here.
It's Campanaro, and he is met high and hard at the 25-yard line. Push back, and Flacco and the Ravens. Now they're in a fight here with the Steelers. It's always intense when these two meet. 3-0 Pittsburgh. This Monday night, catch a hilarious new episode of TV's #1 new comedy, Life in Pieces, on after a new Big Bang Theory on CBS. Ravens did not produce a first down the first time they touched it. Now their first running play of the night is Forsett. Stopped right at the line. We talked to Coach Harbaugh last night. He actually said, I'm at peace. Yeah, we're 0-3, but I'm at peace because I know we're a good team. We've just got to fight through this. It's a storm. If we stick together and come through it, we're going to be a true team.
Yeah, he believes it. And, I'd ask him questions. He'd say to me, look, come on, Phil. You know our team. You know we're good.
Here's the give again. Forsett. He's knocked down after a gain of 3. And again, they've not been able to get the rushing attack going so far this season. After good numbers last year, first time in the 20-year franchise history, this team is 0-3, and they have blown second-half leads in every game.
That's part of the story that we're not talking enough about. They are getting leads in the second half, late in games, but it's not the same Baltimore defense. They give it up in big moments. They let the other team drive down the field.
3rd and 8. Again, they blitz on 3rd down, and the pass complete. And Steve Smith slips through a tackle of Timmons and has the first down.
Well, another blitz that time by this defense.
Watch out, he's gimpy there. Yeah.
Man, that's big. All you got to do is count them. 5 guys up front trying to fool the pass protection of the Ravens. But look, it's a veteran offensive line. They've seen all the looks. They should not have any trouble picking up these blitzes tonight by the Steelers.
So he tries to stretch it out as Aiken and Marlon Brown are the 2 receivers. On 1st down, Flacco completes it to his rookie tight end, Max Williams, in traffic.
Wow, did you see Will Allen come flying in? That's twice he has read Flacco. Flacco looked left, didn't like it, and when he turned, watch, there he is right on top and just misses the football. But Flacco knew how close it was, and the good thing is, when he needs to put a little extra speed on the football, he can do it and still be accurate.
Another first down, and it's Forsett. There's a good run by Forsett. That's what we saw last year when the Ravens were on go. Forsett breaking tackles and averaging over 5 yards a carry on the season. This goes for 11.
Well, similarly, the left guard gets a good block. They get a good push, and that's what you need to do. You can't make them miss. Just use your power and get the extra yards. That is something they have missed all year long when you talk about their running game.
Well, they've got Steve Smith Sr. back on the field after missing 2 snaps. 3 straight plays by the Ravens, gaining at least 10 yards. They go up the middle with Forsett. He's got another good run and another first down as Max Williams comes over to help push him for another yard or 2.
You never know how a game is going to turn out when you talk about offense. You watch them up front, and it's good blocking once again. Boy, what a push by Marshall yonder, the right guard and all that. The Ravens came in here tonight, and I know they were thinking this. Let's throw it. We'll get them moving around with the passing game, and then maybe as the game goes along, we can start to run the football.
That's what they're doing on this drive. Lorenzo Taliaferro is in, and here's the quick pass over to Smith. The bubble screen for Steve Smith is good for about 5, maybe 6.
You talk about Steve Smith. We had some laughs, I did with their coaching staff. If you keep throwing the football and he keeps putting up these numbers, he's not going to retire when this year is over.
Look at these 2 old teammates at Carolina, Mike Mitchell and Steve Smith Sr. A little jawing going on after that tackle. But look what he's done this season. 25 catches, all the rest of the receiving corps, a total of 15 catches.
Well, he brings toughness, great energy at the wide receiver position to this Ravens offense, no question, and personality.
2nd and 5, Taliaferro. These backs really fighting for extra yardage and getting it on this series. They're going to mark him about a foot shy of the first.
Well, you know what? They got 3 running backs, Taliaferro, Allen, Forsett, and you put them in there, and if you get it done, you can stay in the game. So if you want to be a running back in this situation, you better fight for every extra yard.
Well, they're going to hurry up here. And quick snap here on 3rd and a foot. And Taliaferro straight ahead, first down.
Boy, what a job by Jeremy Zuda. They were playing the run up the middle. Osemele, the left guard. They just push it down inside, and a nice read, cutting back before James Harrison can get in there and make the tackle. And you saw the block by the left tackle, James Hurst, 74. Jim, you said it. He's in there for Eugene Monroe and doing an excellent job. He has played well these last few weeks.
5 first downs on this drive by Baltimore. From the 17. Forsett, he's got a hole, and he takes it down to near the 10. Let's check in with Tracy.
John Harbaugh really upset with the officials because he wanted to go even faster, but they were standing over the ball, and he was yelling at them saying, we did not sub, we did not sub. Why are you standing over the ball, Jim?
Yeah, that was on that 3rd and a foot.
Well, if anybody comes in on the offensive side to substitute for any player, they're going to stop play and hold it until the opposing defense, the Steelers, has a chance to substitute and match it. So the right call by the officials, you substitute, they're going to stop play.
6-minute drive on 2nd and 4 with a flag out. Now we'll see what Clete Blakeman's crew has come up with as Forsett is stopped at the line.
Illegal shift on the offense. 2 men were moving prior to snap and did not get reset. It's a 5-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
I tell you, a situation like this, I think it's a tough call for Mike Tomlin. Do you give him 2nd down and 9 yards or 9.5, whatever, or do you take the 3rd down and bring it down to 1 play? I like the 1 play.
I do too. I would have turned that one down.
You know, this is a defense, a secondary that struggled, so you have to think, well, Joe Flacco's going to throw it. He's pretty good, and he's going against a defense that's given up a lot of easy plays.
They take the 5 yards and make it 2nd and 9. That's Campanaro. He's a yard shy of a first, so you got a 3rd and 1 instead of a 3rd and 4.
And what happens, so you get that 2nd and long, and you play a very conservative call. Everybody's back. Let's see where the ball's thrown, and then react. Well, that's a great thought, but thinking you're always going to come up and tackle these receivers, ball carriers at the line of scrimmage, pretty hard to do.
Officially 3rd and 2 at the 9.
A situation here for the Ravens offense. Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator. You got to be thinking about calls that, hey, if we run it, we get it close, we can go for it on 4th down.
Campanaro gets it. On the inside handoff, he looks around and he gets free to the end zone. What a play by Campanaro. Looked like he was going to be dropped for a loss, had a stutter step move. It faked out the defense and he goes 9 yards to the end zone.
Arthur Moats has him dead to rights. Nothing you can do. Top of the screen, he gets up the field, plays it perfectly, doesn't chase down the line of scrimmage at the running back. And then it's not that. He makes him go outside. Where is the rest of the defenders? Steve Smith on the outside had a tremendous block and stayed on it to let Campanaro get in there and score.
It was the 2nd Steeler defender that had to really make the play on him. It was Will Allen, and he was able to juke past Allen and take it to the end zone for the touchdown. Extra point by Tucker is good.
Well, wait till you see the block by Steve Smith Sr. on the outside. It took a long time, but he held his guy at bay.
NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Nissan, innovation that excites, and by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Most of the world's Heinz ketchup is made about 3 hours away from Heinz Field in Fremont, Ohio. Last year they produced more than 650 million bottles. That was a drive that took up almost half the quarter, 7 minutes, 16 seconds.
Well, Steve Smith can do it all. Top of the screen. It looks like the run's going to miss or lose yards. Stays with Blake. Never lets him get inside to make the play.
A pill will make him a genius. The FBI will make him their smartest weapon. Don't miss the new hit drama Limitless. New episode Tuesday, 10/9 Central, only
Wow.
CBS.
I need one of those pills. I mean,
You're already a genius.
Yeah,
Come
I'm
on.
a genius, all right.
Here's Vic turning around and getting it into the hands for the first time tonight on offense. Antonio Brown unable to get away from Will Hill III, and he's knocked down for a 5-yard loss. Before that play, the only time Antonio had touched it was on a punt return.
That's what you want your safety to do, to come up and stop plays like that when they reverse field. Steelers didn't do it on the Campanaro run for the touchdown.
First points allowed in the first quarter this year by the Steelers. Ravens lead at 7-3 after 1. We'll return after these messages, and you're watching Thursday Night Football. CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Start of the second quarter in Pittsburgh. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson, Mike Carey all here. A 7-3 Ravens lead after 1. And a second down snap coming here after a 5-yard loss on the little pass play to Antonio Brown to end the quarter. This one just a little dump off, also is going to lose yardage to Le'Veon Bell. Maybe no gain.
Well, you know, trying to get Mike Vick some confidence these short passes. So let me go back to learning this offense and why it's so difficult and why they can't run everything that Ben Roethlisberger runs when you see him out there. Let's put it this way. If there's 5 guys, Mike Vick is used to telling all 5 what to do in the offenses he's had before. Well, here in Pittsburgh, they tell 1. Then you got to memorize the rest and just see the big picture of what it's supposed to look like. So it's hard to learn. Once you do it, it's great, but you just can't pick it up in a few weeks and think you have all of it down.
3rd and 15, and Vick has the time now, able to complete the pass to Antonio Brown. Look at him weaving through this field and then gets smashed at the 21 and the ball's out. Whistles the ruling him down. He got smacked by Will Davis, a hard-earned 6.
Look, reversing field, I know he can't read the coverage. Look at everybody dropping back. So what does that mean? It's a zone. They're watching everything in front. So you're going to have, look at all the defenders coming after Antonio Brown as he reverses field, just nowhere to go.
Yeah, he was definitely down, but they have to punt anyway. With pressure, he's able to get it away. That was Waller who came in on the punter and affected that punt, which is a short one. Only 37 yards. They'll mark it at the 41. So Ravens offense, after a drive again that took over 7 minutes, they're right back out there with some newfound confidence.
Confidence, no question. The defense has got to be confident. A little surprised with the Steelers. Extremely careful so far in the offense. Not doing some of the things I thought I would see. In other words, letting Mike Vick drop back, give him some space, throw it deep down the field. But the Ravens changing their philosophy on the defensive side. Maybe that's caught Todd Haley a little bit off guard.
They give it to Forsett, and Steelers all around them for no gain, including Moats.
Well, Jim, let's go back. How far did Michael Campanaro run? Well, he faked it out. Look at Will Allen, 20. Look at the block up top by Steve Smith, but Will Allen missing that tackle. I always say that. That's what safeties, their big job is to take plays and stop them and don't give up those extra yards. And that time they gave up the extra yards. That's why they're down 7-3.
Campanaro, a second-year player out of Wake Forest, drafted in the 7th round in 14. Left Wake is the all-time leader in receptions for the Demon Deacons. 2nd and 11, it's Forsett. Twisted down at about the 45 by Tuitt. So Forsett, 8th season, well-traveled through his first 7 years, 5 different teams, including stints in Seattle and Houston. And last year, best in the league, averaging over 5.4 yards per carry. It's been about 3.2 a clip coming into this one. And they split him out now into the slot. Campanaro back on the field, slot left, 3rd and 6. Hands over to Max Williams, and the rookie reaches out for it. Are they going to give him the spot? They are.
They are. Good job of knowing the situation by Max Williams, the rookie. Knows he's got to reach out to get the extra yard. And the big thing is, does he hit the ground? No, he stays in the air and reaches. And that is a great job. That is not going to be a fumble because he is being taken to the ground by a defender.
Look at Coach Harbaugh absolutely coaching him in mid-play, saying you've got the first down, basically just go for it, and he does. His second catch of the night. Flacco's hit his last 5 passes. And now flushed out and going to take off. Picks up a yard where he's tackled by Timmons.
Well, they've had some good runs, so they're looking for the big shot down the field. The coverage, to me, it's Steve Smith on the outside, and Joe Flacco doesn't, for some reason, doesn't like that one-on-one. Steve Smith running to the sideline, something I thought they would really try to go after this Steeler defense, because I've seen it in their first 3 games. They will give you those throws outside, and so far, Baltimore has not taken advantage of it.
That was for no gain, so it goes officially as a sack, and here is a completion for the first down to Aiken. Kamar Aiken. Gain of 14 and a first.
Aiken's going to come across the field, watch the defense. It chases the guys down the field. Nobody stays with him man-to-man. Blake, the corner, is way off. He expects somebody to help him, but there's nobody there because the inside routes took away the underneath coverage. Really good design. Well done by the Ravens offense.
7th catch of the year for Kamar Aiken, 3rd-year player. Fumble. And Flacco falls on it. Flacco, who spent time here, of course, in Pittsburgh, starting his college career for the Panthers, the University of Pittsburgh, and that one just slipped through his fingers. But he was telling us last night how playing here against the Steelers has really grown on him through the years.
How about that? Loves the fans because the rivalry is so great. You know, the city, the culture, it's kind of got a Gothic look, he said. And, of course, the grass field just adds to it, Jim. Players love grass fields and what it does to their body when they play on it.
He hasn't lost a fumble since November of 13. And able to recover that one. 2nd and 11. And Taliaferro is able to advance it for 5. Saturday, the best game from the best conference when Alabama takes on Georgia. The SEC on CBS begins with Inside College Football and College Football Today this Saturday on CBS. So just outside the 30, a 3rd down coming up for the Ravens. And the Ravens offense has picked up the last 8 first downs in the game. Looking for another one here on 3rd and 6, and it's picked off. It's an interception by Cockrell, and Cockrell is tackled. What a tackle by Wagner. The right tackle able to bring him down.
What a job by the Steelers there, Jim. Very good disguise, clever blitz, and Joe Flacco threw right into what they wanted to do on the defensive side.
Ross Cockrell, the 2nd-year player out of Duke, comes up with the interception. Since the start of 2013, Joe has thrown 27 interceptions on the road. That's the most in the league on the road in that span. A 37-yard return on top of it by Cockrell as the Steelers set up at the 36. And Vick trying to strike right off the takeaway to the end zone. Oh, and it's in and out of the hands of Antonio Brown.
That's what you do. You give you Antonio Brown, 84 body mirror screen, is just going to outrun the coverage. That's Jimmy Smith. He's covered well, but he keeps running, and Michael Vick throws it outside. Good throw. But what I liked about it, this is what he does best when you talk about Vick. Play action, get him away from the line of scrimmage so he can throw it down the field. And if he wants to run, his chances are greatened a lot by the deep drop.
At least 9 out of 10 times Brown's going to make that catch.
You are right.
2nd and 10. And Le'Veon Bell waits for Dunfold and has 5.
Well, let me just say this. I said that Joe Flacco has seen all the blitzes. He hasn't seen this one. Here comes 2 blitzers. Cockrell's going to wait for the outcut by Steve Smith, and look at the disguise all the way back by the safety. He waits till the ball is snapped. Joe Flacco has no clue what's coming. Just a great job, Keith. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger loves it, but Keith Butler, the new defensive coordinator, gave them something they have not seen on film yet, and it makes a big play for the Pittsburgh defense.
And Cockrell was cut right at the end of camp by Buffalo, and then the Steelers picked him up just a few weeks back. And they get to Vick all the way back at the 43, taking him out of field goal range. That's Darryl Smith.
Darryl Smith, and John Harbaugh talked about him last night. Number 51 comes up the middle, just keeps working, and gets to Mike Vick and gets the sack and drives him out of field goal range. So that's, listen, when you're not playing a lot, you don't think of the little things. Hey, don't take a sack. If it's not there, get rid of it. Not a quick enough decision by Vick. Takes a big sack.
Jordan Berry. Lardarius Webb standing at the 10. Secures it at the 9. 32-yard punt. So the Steelers defense comes up with a takeaway, but the offense unable to convert points. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Pizza Hut. Bring home the flavor only at Pizza Hut. FanDuel, the leader in 1 week fantasy football. And by Jurassic World, now available on digital HD. Here's a nod to the Steelers Coach of the Week, Steve Shulo of Deer Lakes High in Cheswick, Pennsylvania. He was a guard in the NFL and played on the Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 39. Handoff to Forsett. Well, give him 3 or 4.
How about this running game so far? Look at the wash down to the left. Max Williams, the rookie tight end, gets a good block along with Wagner, the right tackle. How about this left side? First, and Osemele just wash it down again. And then look at this seal. Merrill Hodge, seal here and a seal there, and take it down the alley. But really good blocking up front so far in the run game by the Ravens.
2nd and 6. Forsett. Nowhere to go. Right behind Rick Wagner, and the Steelers had him surrounded.
Well, Steve Smith coming inside. You know, listen, you look at these receivers, Steve Smith's a little different than Antonio Brown, but they keep their energy and their emotions in the game by that style of play. And it's hard for me to sit here and say, oh, don't do that, because they make it work and they're very productive.
3rd and 6. And Flacco to Brown with nowhere to go that time either. Lawrence Timmons had it defended and holds it to a 2-yard gain, and out comes Sam Cook to punt.
The spacing was not good that time. As you see the throw underneath, the throw should go to Steve Smith behind it, but watch one go across. Here comes another one behind. That one behind is where you want to throw it, but they were both stacked on top of each other, so Joe Flacco had no choice but to throw it short.
One of the better legs in the league right here, Cook. Into a pretty good breeze. Earns a fair catch at the 33. 52 yards, a beauty by Cook. So Vick coming out, still sorting things out. 6 of 8 passing so far for 30 yards. During the pregame, 21 breast cancer survivors were down on the field for the anthem and took part in the terrible towel twirl, including Gladys Bettis right there, mother of Jerome, who is she is a breast cancer survivor. And her son is going to have his Hall of Fame ring presentation coming up on the field at halftime. You can learn more by going to Make a Crucial Catch, NFL.com/pink. Here is Vick trying to get away from trouble, and he does. Vick across the 40 and steps out near the first down. course, it was the third quarter last week, and it looked so serious at first glance. When you talk to the great doctor here for the Steelers, Dr. James Bradley, he points out that the heel of Roethlisberger, when the contact was made, his heel was off the ground. Otherwise, it could have been a season-ending injury. That's left MCL sprain. There's Dr. Bradley. Now talking it over with Marcus Wheaton. Vick to an open. Sammy Coates, the rookie, has his first catch. All these injuries to Ben during his career, he always is in games where he can take a beating.
Yeah, well, he holds the football.
Yeah, opens himself up to it.
Tries to make extra plays, and there's, of course, been times here where this offensive line has gone through some really dark periods, and you're going to take some hits. But, hey, I like what they've done these first couple plays, giving Michael Vick a chance to move out of the pocket and make an easy throw from the shotgun.
Here's Bell. Makes a tackle down low and still goes. Charging ahead and getting pushed near the first down by his teammates, including David DeCastro. Going to have about a yard shy on the spot. Let's go down to Tracy.
Well, thanks, Jim. The Steelers have a policy, no players on crutches allowed on the sideline, so Ben Roethlisberger ditched those by the advice of Steelers doc, Dr. James Bradley. The doc told me before the game that they needed to have Ben down here. I spoke with Roethlisberger himself, and he said the same thing, not only for Michael Vick, but for the other players down here, and it's been very obvious. He's been extremely helpful to Vick, but all the players coming up to him, telling them what he sees.
Well, you know, those rules are great, but when you make those, it doesn't necessarily mean they're always for everybody. So you make exceptions.
Yeah.
I think if Ben came out on crutches, he would still be out there tonight, but this shows he might be feeling a little better than people think.
You know,
the fact that he has no crutches out there in this game.
He gets credit for the win, of course, last week, which was his 108th career win, which broke a tie with Terry Bradshaw for the most by any Steeler quarterback. Total wins in the regular season. Bell, after picking up a first down, has a carry here of 4. Tonight, NFL hopefuls chase a lifelong dream on Undrafted. And then Football Town, Barrow, Alaska. The game's played there, 300 miles north of the Arctic Circle. 2-hit NFL Network original series after the postgame, only on NFL Network. So the Steelers let it run down to the 2-minute warning. And the score remains as it was after 1, 7-3 Baltimore. Lexus halftime report is coming up, and that includes Coach Cowher presenting Jerome Bettis with his Hall of Fame ring. 2nd and 6. 2 minutes to go in this first half. Steelers had 3 first downs their first 4 drives. They picked up 3 on this series already. As Vick wiggles, goes outside, as he did to open this drive, and he's got another good gain. There is a flag on the field.
Got to stay in your rush lanes. They blitz. Everybody gets pushed inside, and you dare Mike Vick to run? Well, I think he'll take that dare.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense, number 21. The 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Only the 3rd penalty in this game tonight, which is refreshing after what we've seen so far this year. Next week, we're in Houston. The Texans will be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Your weekend starts Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. We had this matchup a year ago down in Houston, and it was a good one. Came down to the last minutes.
Yep, it did, and Houston Texans and the Colts finally got their first win last week, so that takes that pressure off, and the first one is always the toughest in the NFL.
So first down for the Steelers off the penalty, and Vick to an open Hayward Bay and another Steeler first down.
Well, what do you get? You have a quarterback that you're scared that he might run the football. So now you see that man coverage, the corner's way off. That's twice I've seen Mike Vick just go ahead and take the easy throw to the outside. And Jimmy Smith, as you look at the quarterback numbers here so far tonight, they've integrated Michael Vick into the game at a nice pace. He's getting comfortable, and now they can start to open up. For Joe Flacco, the 1 interception, but I think they're making it too many known passing situations before they let him throw.
First down at the 11, and Bell. He's going to switch back to the other side, and he's got a running lane. Bell cuts back and takes it to the end zone for the touchdown. Le'Veon Bell at his best.
Well, he likes space. Remember he told us that. Will Johnson, nice block. Oh boy, he grabs the defender there and pulls him down.
And look at Vick.
Mike Vick gets out there, gets a block on Ladarius Webb. That was a nice, easy, smooth drive by the Steelers offense. What a confidence builder going into halftime.
Vick on Webb, and he took him all the way to the ground.
Well, Mike Vick looked fast, strong, 5 pounds heavier, he says, than he was last year, and likes that feeling. Makes him stronger, and he wants to play that way.
Extra point by Scobie is good. I like the next-gen stat, that one. I'll bet he went about 45 yards to take it 11 yards to the end zone. And Roethlisberger, pump fist, Steelers in front. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Cialis and by AARP Real Possibilities. One man's unbelievable devotion to this great city of Pittsburgh. Our friend Jim Rohr, the past chairman of PNC, recognized recently by having a street named in his honor, Jim Rohr Way. Congratulations, Jim, for all the many wonderful things you've done, the vision behind the city of Pittsburgh. So now the Ravens will have 137 to work with. What did you see on that touchdown play?
Well, I saw where there could have been a holding on the outside. They let it go, but what reverse? Third time tonight we've seen one of the skill guys reverse field, but how about Michael Vick turns up the field and just gets on Ladarius Webb, and he can't get away.
That is all about the block right there.
Absolutely.
And the gun, Flacco from his blind side. He gets knocked down by Sean Spence.
Never saw it coming that time from the weak side. Here they come from the top. It's two blitzers once again, and they do not have the protection there to pick it up. Joe Flacco's got to see that and react. So the Steelers, a couple blitzes, getting to the quarterback. When that happens, what do you do on defense? You keep doing it until the offense shows that they can pick it up.
2nd and 16. He'll go draw, and Forsett. Wow, what a tumble. Near the 20 and holds on to the football. He got flipped by William Gay. Timeout called by the Steelers. And now for the Ravens. And Flacco. Incomplete. He's been sacked 3 times in this first half after being sacked only 2 times in the first 3 games of the season.
Well, they're rattled. There's no question this offense is rattled. The play calling, they've never got in that rhythm they want to. You know, they were moving the football, Jim, by running it. And what's that do? It's great to run the football on the offensive side, but a lot of times what it does, it takes your quarterback out of rhythm. It takes him out of the game.
Cook sent one down the way 52 yards the last time. This one, no hang time.
It was low.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, stiff arm, and he gets out to the 40 where he is collared down, and that brings out a flag. 49-yard punt, 9-yard return. That was Brendan Trawick on the tackle around the neck area.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, late hit, and the kicking team, number 44. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down, Pittsburgh.
It's called on Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback. The tackle was legal, but this hit was not.
Yeah, that's definitely hitting, going on the pile. You go, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah, it is.
A huge 15 yards puts Pittsburgh now at the Baltimore 45. Again, the Lexus halftime report is on the way, with JB and Dion and Coach Cowher making that presentation to Jerome Bettis, his Hall of Fame ring, on the field. 2 timeouts, plenty of time. Pump fake, Vic weighing options. And out of bounds near the 40.
I think it's pretty evident when you've seen this first half, that Mike Vick can still run. Well, of course, we knew he could. Still probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest quarterback still in the NFL.
After that last drive, Phil, I think Vic got to the point that Tomlin talked to us about.
Yep.
He said, we'd like to see Mike get into the flow of the game and then be himself.
Well, that's what's happened. In play action passes, I like the fact that he drops deep so he can see the rush when he needs to, and he can make a decision whether to run outside or inside.
2nd and 6. Standing there for it is Brown, who ducks down with a first down at the 33, and that brings another timeout by Pittsburgh, leaving them with 1. Steelers drove for a touchdown the last time, and now trying to put up more points right before the half.
Well, they're making it easy for the first start by Mike Vick. I mean, they're playing off, so he's getting those catch the football, throw it outside. He's breaking the pocket. They're not containing. He got outside on a play action. So this is a defense that is a blitzing defense over 40 times the last 2 games. Each game 40 times.
On first down, Vick's pass complete to Antonio Brown. It's a catch at the 17.
What an adjustment. Todd Haley, what they're doing on the offensive side. Usually it's a lot of screens, short passes, and what are we seeing here tonight? Your quarterback's holding it, going much deeper down the field, giving guys like Antonio Brown, makes a nice inside move, breaks out, and he is wide open. You're seeing a secondary for the Ravens. They got beat deep last week with some big plays. So what do you do tonight? They're being ultra conservative, trying not to let his receiver get behind them.
Brown is lined up to the right side on first down. 20 seconds to go. Toss across the middle, and pile driven back by Smith. That was Bell with the catch and a loss on the play.
Okay, they're just going to wait, run it down to 3 seconds or 4, and then call the timeout. Really good job, good drive there by this offense and what they're doing just to get down here in better field goal position. And continue the trend, Jim. Safe. It's just there's no risk in what they're doing on the offensive side. And you said it right, just like what Mike Tomlin said. They executed the game plan very well here in the first half.
You know, they had that play across the middle, which once the immediate tackle was made, the clock kept running. But had they taken a timeout right on the spot, I don't know, there might have been like 16, 17 seconds. They could have taken their last timeout, run the risk that the clock management could go awry at the end and not have a field goal attempt.
They thought their big play was going to be that inside screen, run the defense off and get it there that time. It didn't work, and it just goes to what we see. They're being smart, they're being conservative, and they continue that here at the end of the first half, managing the clock.
46-yard kick, and it somehow squeezes through. There are flags on the field. With flags on the far sideline.
Offside. Defense number 41 in the neutral zone at the snap. The foul's declined. Field goal is good.
10 points in the final minute, 37 seconds.
Well, this kick, I don't know how it went in. It looks like it's left, and watch it just, oh, it's tipped. That's why it had this look.
Anthony Levine Sr. got a hand on it, but again, they had jumped across early. He was the one who was offsides, Levine. Kick still went through. 13-7 Steelers at the intermission. Let's go to Tracy.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Coach, you can see the spot. How he's been able to run this first half.
you know, it's kind of like we expected. You know, he's a veteran guy. You know, it's first time with us, but it's not the first time he's done it. We just got to find ways to get touchdowns. I can't continue to settle for field goals.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Vic in that half was 11 out of 13. Nothing really deep. That 16-yard completion to Brown on that last drive. Total 75 yards passing, another 21 on the ground. Bell has the Steelers touchdown. Campanaro scored for Coach Harbaugh's side. And we'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. He gets free to the end zone. What a play. On 3rd and 6, and it's picked off. Bell cuts back and takes it to the end zone. Le'Veon Bell rushed for 50 yards in that first half and that touchdown. Steelers lead it 13-7. Ravens about to receive the third quarter kick. It's time for Who Are You Lovin', presented by McDonald's. And it's Bell getting a block by Michael Vick for the touchdown as he reversed field. And Michael Vick telling us he had never played in his career with a back that has the speed, the power, and the hands that he's seen this last month since signing with the Steelers, like Le'Veon Bell.
I don't think he's ever played in an offense that has all the weapons that this one does have here in Pittsburgh. So it's got to be fun to watch it from the sidelines, and even better to get out there with him and try to perform.
Touchback to start the third quarter. And, you know, the Ravens were leading 7-3, and they were in Pittsburgh territory when Flacco had the pass intercepted. For a while, I thought, man, the Ravens, they have it in sync here. But from that point forward, the rest of the second half, it all belonged to Pittsburgh.
They dominated. You know, they did a couple blitzes on the defensive side that turned this game completely around, caught Baltimore, I think, by surprise. And then on the other side, the Ravens are a blitzing defense. They set back, and they just let Mike Vick have easy throws. And, of course, they broke down in their techniques and let him get outside a couple times also.
Offense, number 82, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Let's get a report from Tracy. What did you hear out of the locker rooms?
Well, the Ravens, with those 3 sacks on Joe Flacco, John Harbaugh told me they need to do a better job in protection of the blitz. If they can do that, they can open up the passing game, and that is what he said they need to do. One note for the Pittsburgh Steelers, wide receiver Marcus Wheaton has a sprained right ankle. No official word on whether he will return or not. All
right, Tracy, 1st and 15. Flacco was surrounded and is able to get out of the jam and sees the ball bounce off his knee. That is Cockrell, who had the interception, who caught the ball on his way out of bounds. And the Steelers think they may have won the argument over there. And they rule this Pittsburgh football.
The coverage got
Recovery
again
by Pittsburgh, first down.
That's Hayward who comes and reaches in, bounces off the left knee of Flacco. Now the question is, does Cockrell have his feet in bounds when he catches the ball? For a second takeaway of the night.
a couple big plays in this game by Cameron Hayward. He's their star defensive lineman who they hope makes plays, and hard to tell. It is a turnover, so they're going to look at it, of course, upstairs. It's going to be a good shot.
Is that right foot down?
Yeah, the big question is, yep, looks like he gets it down just in that shot. But you're right, the right foot is the one that they're going to have to look at closely and see if he gets it down before he gets out of bounds.
Well, here you go. It's down.
It's down is right.
How alert a play by Cockrell. It looks as though this is going to hold up.
To review, the ruling on the field stands as called. First down, Pittsburgh.
Cockrell just a tremendous job here. The presence of mind to turn into a receiver and tap the toes on the sideline. Phil, both feet are in, and he took the ball, had control of it all the way to the ground. Mike Carey is up here in the booth.
Yeah, the same rules applied to recovering a fumble as it is for a catch, and everything was met. Great play.
His second takeaway of the evening. And the third drive starting in Baltimore territory tonight. DeAngelo Williams starts the third quarter in the backfield. Running to the short side, nothing there as Mosley and Smith combine on the tackle. This kid, Cockrell, Mike Tomlin liked him in all the pre-draft evaluations back in 2014, coming out of Duke, where he was a two-time All-ACC performer, and really liked the kid, but the Bills took him. And then he was one of the last cuts coming out of camp this year at Buffalo.
Yep, he has come in when he has. He's played well. When they go to substituted defenses, he comes in as the extra corner. And even as the starting corner, and right now the starting corner for the Baltimore Ravens defense.
It's Le'Veon Bell driving ahead, and then finally getting knocked to the ground by Timmy Jernigan. Gain of 6.
I talked about it early in the first half. Here you are. The score's 13-7. You got no life on your football team. And sometimes as a coach, you got to give them life by making the right call. And the first down, they came right up. They were going to blitz. They're pressuring the wide receivers. And already a little change in the way they're thinking on the Baltimore defense.
0 for 4 on third down tonight. And that's what they face here. 3rd and 7 from the Ravens 24. And Vick coming out of the pocket now with it. Looking for the first down marker, and he's got it. Mike Vick.
Made it look easy. And a good job of not throwing the football. There comes the extra guy on the blitz. Look at the running lane it creates for him. And just so fast once he gets it in his hands. And there's really nothing the defense can do. You know, let's play a little pressure, but the one thing you got to remember, I talked to him last night, the Ravens. I said, are you going to make him stay in the pocket? And they weren't big on that because they don't want to take the aggressiveness away from the defensive linemen. I think they better rethink that philosophy.
First down from the 14. And movement on that right side against the Steelers.
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You know, Jim, it's easy to play quarterback and be conservative like we've seen with the Steelers and Mike Vick tonight because of that weapon, the fact that don't take a chance trying to stick the football in a tight situation. Just wait, pull it down, and run the football. That's what they said. Let's do this, give him some opportunities, and we hope he runs the football to make a few big plays to put our offense over the top here tonight.
He's run it 5 times for 30 yards. Second only to Bell's 56 on the ground. And it's Bell on this occasion staying low and diving down to about the 16, gain of 3 into the arms of Brandon Williams.
Tackled by Brandon Williams.
Well, it's been a good job of what they've done here. We've talked about it. And I think as you watch it, you know, I've watched all the Steeler games up to this point, and entirely different look on the offensive side, but shows you the talent they have and the versatility that the coaches can coach to kind of come up with a little bit of a different offense to make it work for their backup QB.
You've got at the bottom of the screen, Brown and Jimmy Smith are going to the other side to Bell, and Bell is at the Ravens' 9-yard line. Darrell Smith able to end it after a gain of 7.
Here's Bell in the back, but anytime you see receivers stacked when you're playing the Steeler offense, you got to think one thing. Here comes the screen to the person that's standing back deep. And you've got to attack the line of scrimmage, knock the blockers back, and then you want to chase it from behind or have the safeties come up there and make the tackle. But when you're playing a team like this, they have so many screens that you see these odd formations, that's the first thing you have to think.
You've got 3rd and 5. Play action, and Vick guns it to the end zone, and it's juggled for a moment, still waiting for the signal. And they call it a touchdown to Darius Hayward-Bay.
What a throw. Love what they did. They take Mike Vick, they play action fake, and they move him out, and then he gets to show off his arm. Oh my gosh, he threw it so hard it almost went through.
It's unbelievable how he caught that.
Yep, definitely keeps control of the football as he went to the ground. That's a touchdown. And how about Hayward-Bay, how he's found a spot here in this offense.
Well, that could change with the return of Martavis Bryant in the next game, but how often do you see someone catch it like this as the nose of the football was going right through the arms and the body? He squeezes it by the nose and is able to retain possession. Unbelievable.
And the other thing is just how hard he threw the football to get it in there.
Of course, all touchdowns are reviewed. Mike Harry, is anything there that would take it away?
No, everything was really clean. Even though the back of the ball was caught with his elbow, he maintained control all the way through all through contact with the ground.
You're right, Phil. Darius Hayward-Bay. You know, we've seen him go from the Raiders to the Colts, and here early in the season, he's never looked better than in this offense with the Steelers. His second touchdown of this young season. Extra point by Scobie is good, and the Steelers convert points off the takeaway. In fact, have put up 17 points now in less than 6 minutes of game time. Off the Flacco fumble, it's Vick to Darius Hayward-Bay for the touchdown. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Mazda. Driving matters. McDonald's teaming up with the NFL like never before. And by Oikos 000, the official yogurt of the NFL. And yes, you're looking at Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which was filmed right here in Pittsburgh all those years, and the original set is on display at the Heinz History Center. Fred Rogers was a Latrobe native, like one of the great Pittsburgh Steeler fans I know.
He's down in Latrobe.
Mr. Arnold Palmer.
Well, as you watch this here so far tonight, the Steelers acting like the more desperate team, like they're 0-3. But here's what's really confused this Ravens offense, and pretty surprised. This is a neat blitz they have right here. The double weak blitz. The corner comes off, reads the quarterback. You're not expecting it. They disguised it so well, and it turns the game around. Then another double weak blitz a different way. Caught Joe Flacco by surprise. They don't see it. Really fortunate not to fumble the football there. Keith Butler, well, they hoodwinked us. We're going to be very conservative.
Here's the pass to Juszczyk, and Blake this time somersaults Juszczyk. Holds it to a 3-yard play. Tonight on The Late Show, Stephen Colbert. He welcomes Homeland star Claire Danes. Homeland is coming back this weekend on Showtime, plus Secretary of State John Kerry. It's an all-new Late Show tonight after your local news.
Antoine Blake on that last tackle. Look, I'll tell you this. I'm not saying he's the best cover corner in the NFL, but he is not afraid to hit whoever has the ball. And that's one thing they love in Pittsburgh, corners who can tackle, and he can do that very well.
2nd and 7. Forsett has a big opening, and there he goes to the 50. That's going to be his longest run of the season. Finally brought down by Mike Mitchell. Give him 33 yards. And boy, did the Ravens block this one.
Oh, you can't even see it. The safety runs out the middle. There's nobody there to protect in case he breaks through the... Just look at this. Watch it again. He's going to run over here. Really good disguise by Mitchell, but nobody there in the second line of defense, and that's why Forsett got such a big play.
And how about Hurst and Osemele absolutely clearing it wide open. Longest play of the night in the game. Now they go to Aiken. Shakes off a tackle, and he stiff arms down to the 26.
Well, I talked about this to you. You probably got sick of hearing me say it. You know, they just got to throw the ball outside, and they can do this and that. And we haven't had any of that so far.
Well, they haven't had a pass completed to Steve Smith since the second drive of the game. He had 2 catches on that series for 16 yards, but that's it. Nothing since.
And there's really nothing the Steelers they're not lining up going, hey, let's double team Steve Smith and keep him from getting the football. If you call the play, design it, I think you can get him open.
They got the rookie out of USC carrying the ball. Buck Allen. He takes Will Allen with him on his back down to the 15. And again, Osemele with a second huge block on this drive. He goes for 12.
He's had a few of them here tonight. Watch 72 over there going outside and just stays on the block. And Cam Thomas, 93, can't get off of the block. Allen. Big, strong running back can go straight ahead pretty well.
There he goes. He holds on to it. Make sure he has it, but James Harrison is there to meet him at the line of scrimmage.
How about James Harrison? I thought he'd retired. He goes to Cincinnati, retired. They brought him back, and here he is. He's the second line of linebackers on the outside, along with the first-round draft pick, Bud Dupree. And the coaches say he's an unbelievable influence. Shows all the guys how to work, how to take care of themselves.
Being around him all these years, you got to believe it.
Absolutely.
2nd and 10. To the end zone. Flacco's pass. It's on the mark. Touchdown, Baltimore. Kamar Aiken.
Awesome job by Aiken. Really good throw by Joe Flacco. Way to turn things around here in this game with that drive by the Ravens. But watch Aiken on the outside.
And look who he beats.
Ross, but right here he sees the football. He ducked his head down and ran to the football and reached out and caught it.
He beats Cockrell, who's had the big game with the 2 takeaways.
Aiken has the speed and the size. He needs experience. They've been throwing the football to him more over the last couple games, and you can watch it. I've watched him grow since we did him the opening game in Denver.
Extra point is good. We talked at the break about a desperate team and better answer the bell on this next series.
I'd say they answered the bell, right?
80 yards in 6 plays. Fighting for a season. Replay every game of the 2015 season on demand with NFL Game Pass. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass to start your free trial. And Flacco now 10 out of 14 for 90 yards and that touchdown pass, plus a first half pick as Tucker bounces it through the back of the end zone past Archer. All right, the Ravens awaken. Take it down the field and score. 2014 Steelers. Halfway through the third quarter, and the Steelers break huddle. They get ready to snap it from the 20 to start this next drive. Fake handoff to Bell, and Vick's pass to Brown. Did he get the feet down? Is he out of bounds? They have proof on the paint.
Yep, out of bounds. Nice move. How about the deep drop by Mike Vick, and they got people open all over the field. The time, the length of the throw. Just watch down the middle. As they see it down the middle, wide open. He could take his choice and throw it deep down the middle or outside.
Only the third incompletion tonight for Vick. He had hit his 7 previous passes.
These defensive backs are going, oh, wow. Yeah, he still has the arm.
They're going to go to that arm again on 2nd and 10. Oh, no, they won't, because there to meet him is Zadarius Smith, the rookie from Kentucky, taken in the 4th round, gets the sack and a loss of 7.
Yeah, let's watch. Here's the first read. It's Hayward Bay coming to the outside, and this is what happens when you don't get enough playing time. He's going to do an out and up and stop. He's wide open, but Michael Vick came off of the play too quick. The receiver was open, and that extra time causes the sack.
This kid that's playing is getting more playing time because of the loss of Suggs.
That's right.
Blew out his Achilles week 1 against Denver, and of course they miss his leadership as well. 3rd and 16. Former NFL Defender of the Year. All kinds of time for Vick. And that is Smith again on him. Back-to-back plays made by the rookie.
That time they kept Mike Vick in the pocket. I thought for a second they were going to try to keep a spy standing in front of him. See Mosley 57, but he has the back. But it takes so long. The rush does a great job of staying in their lanes, and that's why they got the sack. They're going deep again. The coverage is great. Ladarius Webb on the slot receiver. That's Antonio Brown. Excellent job of coverage. And the defense helped turn this thing around.
So now the Steelers punt from the end zone. And Barry doesn't catch it all. Campanaro. Stutter step move and takes off down to the 33. And this is the first time that the Steelers have seen an opponent start in Steeler territory for the season. And it's going to be the Ravens ball at the 33. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by The Walk, in theaters this month. And by Tostitos Chips and Dips. Bring the party. Pittsburgh, home to the world's largest bike shop and museum, Bicycle Heaven. But meanwhile, we had a penalty on that punt return against Pittsburgh.
During the prior play, number 21 of the kicking team went out of bounds voluntarily and came back in. It's a 5-yard penalty, which will be added to the end of the run. First down, Baltimore.
So the Ravens now have it at the 28, and this is the second time the whole year Baltimore has started a drive in opponent territory.
Well, it tells you part of the problem. Defense not making enough big plays, special teams, whatever. You can't drive 80 yards every time.
They give it to Forsett. And he is grabbed hold up by Stephon Tuitt. Tuitt makes the tackle, no gain. Week 4 continues Sunday morning live from London at a special time, 9:30 Eastern on CBS. The Jets and Dolphins are over at Wembley Stadium, and then check local listings for games in the 1 o'clock window in your area.
So you can wake up on the West Coast at 6:30 and football's on.
That's a good thing.
Not a bad thing.
That is a
CBS.
really good thing.
That's right.
Second down and 10. Almost intercepted. It went off the hands of Nick Boyle, and Sean Spence came running in and not able to get to the football.
They got it set up. It could be a big play. Watch 82. He's going to block, and now they release the lineman. Wagner is going to block the linebacker. There's going to be nobody there to cover Boyle. He'd have been running down the middle of the field. It'd been a race to the end zone.
Of course, they're playing tonight without Crockett Gilmore, their starting tight end, inactive with injury. And another reminder that Smith has not caught a ball since the first quarter. It's 3rd and 10. It's Smith at the bottom of the screen. Blake's on him. Flacco's looking the other way. Now, a whistle and a timeout was called.
Prior to the snap, Baltimore took its first charge team timeout.
For a Ravens timeout.
Well, Jim, let's look at Steve Smith. Covered on the first play of the game. He did catch a couple passes. You talked about it.
Got hurt on this one. Yeah, got a
little shaky, but I've been watching him. He's running full speed as I watch. But just not a lot of plays designed. The spacing is terrible here. That's why they can't throw it to him on a big 3rd down. But in the previous games, so many little plays designed just for him to catch it so we could see him run with it after the catch. Just haven't seen those plays or concepts so far here tonight.
He's coming off a back-to-back 10-catch games for the first time in his distinguished career. 3rd down and 10. And it's over to Boyle, who hurdles past one defender but comes up 2 yards short of the first. And they'll bring out Tucker for a field goal attempt.
This is the play of the year here. I see it every single game. Every offense has it. Here comes Boyle. Watch the receivers block. It's an outside screen. Borderline illegal as the block happens way before the football gets there. See Mike Carey, they don't catch all the penalties out there.
Boyle, the rookie out of Delaware, able to get down to the 20, sets up a 38-yard field goal on a fake. It's a fake, and the Steelers are on it. It was Spence who read it out. They went right back to Boyle, who had caught the pass on 3rd down, and the fake field goal is snuffed out by Pittsburgh. Look at the tackle by Sean Spence.
Big play in the game. Sean Spence stays with it. I don't see how he even sees the read. I think he sees the tight end going across Boyle. He followed him because that's unique. They had the fake going to the left. They pitch it going to the right. And the speed got it done. That's what it was. And John Harbaugh, of course, special teams coach with the Philadelphia Eagles for many years, had to be disappointed. That was a game changer.
Yeah, he was for 9 years the special teams coach for the Eagles before being the head coach, named head coach at Baltimore. And that right side was open. Had Boyle not had Sean Spence right on top of him. Tonight, NFL hopefuls chase that lifelong dream on Undrafted. Then Football Town. We take you to Barrow, Alaska, some 300 miles north of the Arctic Circle. 2-hit NFL Network original series tonight after the postgame, only on NFL Network.
I'll tell you, up there in Alaska, they're not throwing for 200 yards a game because the wind blows about 40 miles an hour across the field. Oh, my gosh.
2nd and 9. And Miller has the grab, but only a yard. Mike Vick, part of the theme early in the season around the league. All these quarterbacks, Ben and Jay Cutler and Tony Romo, Drew Brees, these guys have come in for him. There you see their career records as starters. It seemed like more this year than you can remember in recent years.
Yeah, it does. It does. It seems like we went through a stretch for quite a few years where no starters were getting beat up. Some lost their jobs by a bad play. And I'll say this, too. The reserves, they didn't win, but they all played solid football and went out there and at least gave their chance. In most cases, gave their team a chance to win.
3rd and 8, and they're after Vick, and they've got him. Dragged down from behind by Doomerville.
Elvis Doomerville, the fastest pass rusher on the Ravens, 58. Comes from this side. Oh, the late minute pressure, they could have been a face mask, but the late second pressure at the last minute, it confused the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. They made a mistake, and Elvis Doomerville got the sack.
How about Vick with the presence of mind as he's going down, trying to get the officials' attention, saying, hey, gesturing, he had me by the face mask, but no flag. Vick sacked now 3 of his last 4 dropbacks. And Campanaro takes the fair catch. Might have, second thought, like to have had a chance to run that one. 41-yard punt. Throwback Thursday, we present to you Craig Ironhead Hayward, who attended the University of Pittsburgh back in the 80s, remains 4th all-time on the school's rushing list. The father of Steelers defensive end Cameron Hayward, who grew up in Georgia before attending Ohio State. Ironhead, we knew him back in his college days, such a likable guy. He passed away in 2006 at the age of 39 after a 7-year battle with a brain tumor. And there's a handoff to Forsett for only a yard. Craig Hayward would have been 49 just last Saturday. He lost way too young.
Well, he's got to be, if he's there, whatever, he's got to be proud of his son. His son's a solid player, plays so hard. You see the iron head, the eye black underneath his eyes.
2nd and 9. Here's Smith now. First catch since the first quarter. Breaks 1 tackle, and then Timmons takes him down about 2 or 3 yards short of the first.
That's how you do it. If you want to throw it outside, the fact that he had that little play action fake, Jim, stops the underneath open defenders who are not covering anybody from getting out underneath Steve Smith, and it's an easy throw and catch for this Ravens offense.
3 catches on the night for Steve for 23 yards. And it's a 3rd and 2 in the last minute of the 3rd quarter. Flacco to Smith again, and the Steelers back him up. They're going to mark him almost a full yard short of the first. It'll be 4th and 1.
What a tackle. They're doing a great job of flying up here so far tonight and making sure there's no extra yards. And that is Blake and Timmons.
We got a player down on the field, a Raven. It was a play similar to that. And that Smith actually got up and then fell to the ground on his way back to the huddle. But on a play from about that same point on the field last week against Cincinnati, he broke 5 or 6 tackles, it seemed, for one of the great individual efforts of the season and took it to the end zone.
Yeah, turned the game around down there against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was a big hit on the sideline by Lawrence Timmons. And you can tell just how uncomfortable Steve Smith is laying on the ground. Well, when you roll out, the only difference was they rolled out a little bit, Jim, on that play. And when you do that, the defense reads it so fast. And they just fly towards him.
He's holding his back. He was going back, and he signals to the sideline.
Well, what it does, too, it lets John Harbaugh, look at his face, he can feel the pain. Look, he's an all that running we saw him do last week. I just wonder if it's a factor with him here tonight because it's Thursday after a Sunday game. And look, they know it. I've talked to their coaches, and they said we're trying to be very careful with him, not to work him too much in practice and all those things so he can be fresh for games.
And it's going to be a big decision once Smith, and hopefully Smith will be able to get to his feet here momentarily, but 4th and a little less than 1 coming up for Baltimore.
Well, Joe Flacco's still on the field.
Yep.
John Harbaugh's had plenty of time to think about it. You're near midfield. To me, the spot is not very good. I thought he was almost halfway to the
Agreed.
50. So he could challenge it and maybe get it respotted, but he would lose the challenge because it's not a first down. So I got to tell you, it was pretty clear. It was halfway up there, and there's a big difference, Jim, in 1 yard and a half a yard when you make these decisions as a coach and what play you run.
This is what you're talking about right here. You can see.
He's absolutely right there, halfway, at least halfway, maybe even more.
Yeah, even went out of bounds well past the 49, and they stay out there with the offense. A full yard needed.
Nobody back there to help Joe Flacco in protection.
Pass caught, and the second effort by Boyle. He bounces off the first hit, and he's got the first down.
Oh, my gosh, what a play. What? To execute. Coverage is tight.
Yeah, it wasn't much there.
He gets picked off at the last second. Just a tough play by Boyle to get the first down.
So Boyle gets stopped on the fake field goal try. He says, not this time. I mean, they had him, but he fought for it. Got it. We're through 3. 20-14 Pittsburgh. You're watching Thursday Night Football. Still attending to Steve Smith Sr. as we start quarter number 4. Ravens having just converted on a big 4th and 1. And they run it with Forsett inside of the 40. Forsett having a nice game here tonight.
Yeah, he is. Juszczyk, the fullback, nice block, pulls around, little counter play. And, Juszczyk, good blocker, good on special teams, very good receiver out of the backfield, having a nice solid game here tonight.
2nd and 4. Forsett up to 85 on the ground. No tackle on another couple of yards with that carry. 3rd and short on the way.
Kind of the same situation we've seen a couple times. If you're calling plays, it's 3rd down and what do we got? 3 yards. You think about it, this is a spot in the field where you got to think, well, if we don't get it, we might go for it on 4th instead of trying a long field goal on this field. Little wind, but the wind, what is left that we had in the pregame or early in the game, is still behind the Baltimore offense.
Taliaferro is the running back. 3rd and 2, we'll call it. And Flacco steps up and unloads it with a flag out, incomplete. Flacco got decked hard by James Harrison and Cameron Hayward.
Holding. Defense, number 41. It's a 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Call is on Antoine Blake. And they'll spot it now at the 31.
Well, number 41. Well, he's in the slot, barely can see him, but the extra time that Joe Flacco had in the pocket,
it off. Hole up the middle for Forsett. And he picks up 7, running this time behind Marshall Yanda.
Yep, him and Boyle both got good blocks. And just another big hole to run into, Jim. Really, I'm surprised by this Steeler defense. Even when they're not good, they're always good against the run. They're not great. 9th in the league against the run. 4 athletic linebackers.
2nd and 2. And Forsett. That last little dart back to the inside picks up the first down. Smith anxious to somehow get back into this game.
Yeah, he's got to shake it off. That's what he's trying to do. Just keep moving. Once you get it loose, never slow down the rest of the game, because I think if he sits around and tries to rest up a little bit, it's going to get tight.
On first down, it's ground time again. Tuitt is there, as well as Arthur Moats. Your weekend starts next Thursday, the Colts and the Texans. They'll meet on Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. Always a great scene down in Houston. And they'll be fired up for that rivalry game next Thursday. 2nd and 11.
Here comes the blitz.
Snap got away from Flacco. He has to cut his losses and fall on it. Back at the 33.
Couldn't tell if it's snap. I was too busy watching the blitz. John Harbaugh can't believe what he's watching. Off his strong side. Snap doesn't look that bad, but he does a good job of getting on top of the football.
It's a loss of 12.
Oh, that's a good shot, just like the receiver. Took his eyes off the football a little too quick, trying to see what blitzers were coming and if they were going to block them or not.
Need to get down to about the 10-yard line for a first. It's 3rd down. Tavafaro on the screen. Slips out of a tackle, but is finally brought down at the 22.
Makes that field goal try a lot easier. Really good safe call. Mark Trestman, 3rd long, run the screen, pick up a few yards.
I'm not expecting any fakes this time. Of course, had they gone ahead and kicked it the last time, and things could have gone all kinds of different ways. But
that's right. If they'd have kicked it, maybe it'd have been blocked and run back for a touchdown. So
40-yard try it'll be. He's missed only once this season. One of the best in the league right here. Justin Tucker. Cook on the hold. And Tucker dead center. I talked earlier about how many times it's been a 3-point margin in the end. It's what we have right now between these two.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Steelers up 20-17. Just an update on Steve Smith Sr. As you can see right now, he's getting onto the bike. I was told it's a lower back contusion. His return is questionable. He was being worked out on the ground. I think we showed that on the air for a while. They were moving around his hip. They rubbed some ointment on his back. It looked as though he did want to go in at one point. He grabbed his helmet. Then they kicked the field goal, so he sat back down.
Well, knowing Steve Smith, I'd almost be surprised if he wasn't, with 10 minutes to go, going to figure out a way to get back into this game.
Well, yeah, and they need him back in the game because the focus is on him a lot of times when he's out there, especially on passing downs. But to me, right here in the 4th quarter, what turned this game around is the Ravens' defense. They didn't let this Pittsburgh offense do anything really there in the 3rd quarter. Only 14 yards. Their points came off of a turnover, so Todd Haley's got to find a way to get this offense restarted.
Out throwing. Pass. Oh, what a catch. Again, Hayward Bay finding ways to contribute here in Pittsburgh. Gains 12. He had Webb coming under low. He held on.
Yeah, Jim, you got to respect the speed. That's a nice sell. He made Webb turn, and he waited till he turned. That's when he stopped to come back outside, and another really easy play to call and to execute for Mike Vick.
Third catch on the night, including a touchdown. Here's Bell. Got Miller out in front of him. And Mosley on him along with Courtney Upshaw. This rivalry, when you go back through the years head-to-head, the numbers are so even. Look at the points. Since 2001, separated by 1 point.
It's really kind of, when you think about it over the years, and this division, all the playoff teams they've had, 3 of them last year. You take the Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, and they're so close.
Gonna go underneath, and that's Bell. When you talk about that division, you know, you got Cincinnati already 3-0 with a division road win at Baltimore. If Baltimore loses this game to drop to 0-4, you've got now Pittsburgh would be 3-1 with a win over you. Plus you got Cincinnati. You never know, but it's got a home game against Kansas City. If the Bengals win that game, they'd be 4 behind them, plus already a head-to-head win by the Bengals at their place, at Baltimore.
Yeah, I think they know all this. They were very cognizant of it. Their team is a solid team. John Harbaugh thinks they're good. And to think that they're going to turn around and go on an 8-game winning streak is too much to ask.
Well, this is a crucial 8 minutes and 14 seconds for the Ravens. As on 3rd and 4, the defense makes the play. As Webb wraps up Hayward Bay, and really for the night, they have contained Antonio Brown with only 4 catches for 25 yards.
Watch the blitz, the little game inside. It's a good thing it's a quick throw because he's going to get sacked, Mike Vick is. But again, a little pressure defense. That's what the Ravens do best, and they got this Steelers offense off the field.
Good hang time with this one. Campanaro at the last minute, backed away.
Good. No, that was a good job that time by Campanaro. That ball was moving as it came down, and he knew it. That was going to be a risky fair catch.
51-yard punt. Half a quarter to go in Pittsburgh. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Lowe's. Hurry in this weekend for great fall savings. The Lexus IS 200 Turbo and IS 300 all-wheel drive. And by Wendy's, Pittsburgh's north side, housing the country's largest aviary. And we've got now Steve Smith still trying to figure out if he can return. Not for this play. Ravens from the 12. Play action, dump off, Campanaro. He made a nice little wiggle to pick up extra yardage, and he's within 1 of a first.
A good decision on that fair catch, too.
Yeah. Sunday, the NFL on CBS. Everyone in the country is going to get the game from London. Mark the time, 9:30 with 9 o'clock NFL Today special edition. The Jets and the Dolphins from Wembley, and then regional action. Many will see Kansas City at Cincinnati or Houston at undefeated Atlanta. And again, it all starts early Sunday morning with the action at 9 o'clock pregame, NFL Today, and then Jets-Dolphins from London to the nation. They've got Darren Waller now split wide to the right as Campanaro got shaken up on that last play. 2nd and 1, they've got the first, and I should add here that Rashad Perriman, Ravens fans have been itching for their first-round pick out of Central Florida to suit up and play, but he's had this lingering knee issue. He had his knee scoped this morning.
Wow. And I'll say this. He's a rookie. I haven't seen him play for the Ravens, but I saw him in college, and he would make a difference on this football team. He is fast enough to give them some easy throws and to help out the other receivers, but they're going to have to do without him for a while.
Forsett is over 100 now. And he's adding to the total as he breaks it into the secondary again. For the second time this half, he's brought down by a member of the defensive backfield. 22-yard run behind Yanda.
Well, Marshall Yanda right here going outside. He's an excellent blocker, good pass block. He's an all-pro guard, and you see why all night long you've been talking about his name.
Zuda also on this play.
Zuda, good center, athletic, able to always block the down line. But Zuda so athletic, he can get upstairs and block the linebacker.
They got Buck Allen in. They fake to the rookie. And Flacco finds Marlon Brown, who sidesteps one defender and gets pushed out by Timmons. But now here comes Flacco and the Ravens, and Flacco having to operate without Steve Smith Sr. in the game, as well as Campanaro, who scored a touchdown in the first half.
But it's the mixture of plays. This is what I've seen the last couple of weeks when this offense has gone up and down the field, just moving the quarterback. I love that they finally moved Joe Flacco a little.
2nd and 2. And that was Buck Allen. He's about a yard short here of the first. And the Ravens want a no huddle here. They want to hurry to the line. They did this in the first half and were able on 3rd and 1 to pick up the first. They go back to Allen. They're on him quickly, and he is about a foot shy, it appears. Bud Dupree, Will Allen, they come up.
Well, that's why they went no huddle, trying to catch him with the quick snap count. And you know, this decision, you don't even have to think about it. If it's short, John Harbaugh is going to go for it.
Yep, 4:44 to go in the game.
You know, you look at the play clock, 4:44 to go, 2 timeouts, good field position, 4th down. It's going to be short.
They ask for a measurement to give
Ravens
them a little more time. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. You can always do that. And that's why you ask for it, to give yourself a little time to let the offensive coordinator look at his sheet, think about what they've done to him in these situations so far today, and then you make the call that is appropriate. Last time, what did they do? They ran a little pick play and threw it to Nick Boyle. If you run it, I would say go off tackle, do not go up the middle, because that's where they're going to put their defense.
Ben leading the cheers here in Pittsburgh. It is not Forsett at running back. They went for it on 3rd down with Allen, and now on 4th down they have Taliaferro at running back.
Bigger, stronger running back.
4th and inches, sneak time, Flacco, and he's still driving for it, and he's not going to make it.
Oh, he's at the mercy of just a spot. That was just not a good quarterback sneak. He got no power, no separation. It's going to be short, it looks like. You know, that was you read the defense, even on quarterback sneaks, and they did not read it right that time.
Well, they've gambled in this half with a fake field goal on 4th down. They get stopped here on 4th and inches. Roethlisberger's loving what he's seeing from the sideline.
Watch Cameron Hayward here. There he goes. Watch how they dive at the center. They're playing quarterback sneak. There's no push and nowhere for Joe Flacco to go. So they lined up in the formation. Pittsburgh looked at it and said, we're playing for the inside run. They lined up the proper way and stopped them on a huge 4th down.
Steelers have 3 first downs in this half as Le'Veon Bell cuts back to the middle and takes it all the way to the Ravens 36, going behind DeCastro for 21.
Well, David DeCastro, 66, pulls around, makes the block. And just like Marshall Yanda on the other side at the right guard position, terrific night in the run game. And Le'Veon Bell, wow, can he put a foot down and make a cut as easy and as fast as any running back you'll see in this league?
The longest play of the evening for the Steelers, their first play of 20 yards. It goes for 21.
You know, but let's go back just a little bit. I'm just thinking the 4th down play, the quarterback sneak, they're not that good at it. I don't see Baltimore do it that often.
Ball is out. Vick dives down on a loss of 1. Remember, it was 2nd and 2 for the Ravens. Then they ran it 3 straight plays, gained a yard, no gain, no gain.
Again, you're the center. There's a guy lined up on each side. Oh, and it's not even close. It's almost like Joe Flacco lost yards.
Wasn't a lot of fun for Flacco either.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. But, you know, everybody thinks, oh, we just run a quarterback sneak. It's easy, this and that. Well, Jim, over the years, we've seen so many times. There's actually an art to running the quarterback sneak. And, of course, we know the greatest one in the league that's the Patriots and Tom Brady.
2nd and 11. And Dell, he just kind of shimmied right along the line of scrimmage and then waited for something to open and got 6 out of nothing. Timeout called by the Ravens, leaving them with 1. Coming up next, the Mazda postgame show, interviews and analysis of tonight's game. This defense has to make a play here. 3rd down's on the way. And try to surrender nothing more than a field goal and get the ball back as Campanaro is being carted in.
Man. Wide receivers for the...
He too, with Smith was a back contusion, lower back. They're saying basically the same thing for Campanaro. Look at this list. Coaches all time without a 4-game losing streak regular season had to have coached at least a minimum of 100 games. John Madden. Harbaugh next. Blanton Collier. Raymond Berry.
What do? Do you trust, I'm sorry, Jim, do you trust Michael Vick here in this situation to throw the football? You got to be careful. Could be a screen, could be a bootleg after a play action fake.
Timeout called by Vick.
You know, they've been very conservative all night. So here you are in this situation. Do you all of a sudden maybe put the games in the hand of your backup quarterback in a situation like this? I think it's a tough call.
Had all kinds of crucial decisions made in this second half, and there was the fake field goal try.
That's right.
Where Cook pitched it to Boyle, and Spence made a really terrific stop.
You know, calls like that, I'm not going to say when the game's over, if they just kick the field goal there, they're going to make it. Look, it changed many things afterwards, and when you make calls like that, if they don't work, you live with it. And then you coach accordingly after that mishap happens. And so the situations we've seen here in the game, they've had another couple chances to get more points on the board, and in the big spots, Pittsburgh's defense has stopped them.
Now, if Pittsburgh picks up the 1st down, remember, you got the 2-minute warning, and Ravens have 1 timeout. That's all. So, essential for Baltimore right now to step up and make a stop. Vick, across the middle, knocked down, and no flag. Knocked down by Will Davis.
How about that? They brought Will Davis and put him in here as the 3rd corner because they said, look, he knows how to defend and make these kind of plays. This is a new role for him. They've struggled with that extra defensive back. It's not gone well.
Sammy Coates was the target. They're going to go for a 49-yard field goal. Remember, if he misses here, the Ravens would take over in excellent field position.
Little kicking into a little bit of a breeze, probably about close to 10 miles an hour.
49-yard attempt. Scobie's kick. It's no good. The Ravens have life with 2:24 to go. It'll take over at the 39. NFL Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial. When you have the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant. And by Outback Steakhouse. Hurry in. Steak and unlimited shrimp is ending soon. Back here along the Three Rivers. Here's Flacco with 2:22 to go. Down the middle and incomplete. Trying to go to Williams, the rookie tight end. That last series by the Steelers, they had the football for only 1 minute and 45 seconds and missed the 49-yard field goal.
Yeah, listen, timeouts, good clock management by the Baltimore Ravens. And you know the decision to throw it on 3rd down? Hey, they wanted to win the game. That's what you do. It wasn't a cinch field goal. That's why they threw it. I would have loved to seen, I know it's kind of cliche, to get Michael Vick outside, make the throw even easier, and maybe if the defense is not there, he can run the football.
So no Campanaro, no Smith on the field. Flacco with pressure. The pass is behind Brown.
Well, this is where
James Harrison stepped up that time and put the pressure on Flacco.
Yep. Coming up on the inside, James Harrison. This is where you kind of earn it. This is the tough spot for defensive coordinators. What do? Do you play it a little safe? 2 plays, 2 blitzes so far by Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator. There's Keith Butler, defensive coordinator. Done a great job tonight helping his defense get pressure on Joe Flacco.
3rd and 10. Cockrell on the blitz down the sideline, and it's incomplete. That's Waller, who was basically their 5th wide receiver, a rookie out of Georgia Tech. Was this catchable? Let's take a look.
Well, it's a throw that Joe Flacco can usually make. If he line drives it and throws it behind Waller, it's going to be a catch. But 4th down, no question going for it here. The big thing is, what will the Steelers do? Will they blitz him, make him get rid of the football, or they play it safe and hope to do it with coverage?
Now the Ravens would have loved to have had Steve Smith for this series. 4th and 10. Flacco. With time. Now breaking down, and he's taken down by the Steeler defense. Sean Spence and James Harrison.
You said it right. They would love to head Steve Smith. Nobody gets open. Even though they pick up the blitz, Flacco has all the time to throw, but I saw nobody open down the field.
It is Pittsburgh's ball, 1st and 10. Please put 2 minutes 4 seconds on the game clock. 2 minutes 4. 1st down, Pittsburgh.
Well, Jim, let's look at it. First off, watch the protection. Here it comes across. The running back is going to get the blitzer. That works out. Joe Flacco has all the time. Here comes the corner. Do you see anybody open as he looks? I do not even see any space between the defender and the receiver. They are on lockdown.
I want to make a point here. They put 5 seconds back on the clock because the clock kept on running as the Steelers were running around with the football. But that's crucial in this regard. It might allow somehow for the Ravens to get the ball back because they have to run a play now on the north side of the 2-minute warning. They set it at 2:04 on the turnover and downs. And now this will stop the clock after Bell picks up a yard. So the Ravens have 1 timeout left. That was a huge little reset by the officials.
Still some hope
to give the Ravens just a little glimmer of hope. Coming up after the game, the Mazda post-game show, interviews and analysis of tonight's game. They got the ball at the 28 of Baltimore, 2nd down and 9 on the way. Ravens with 1 timeout. You saw Flacco, who has been sacked a career-tying 5 times tonight. That's Bell. He's about 5 yards short of the first. And there's the timeout called by Baltimore. So here's an interesting thing. You see, they had been sacked twice, weeks 1 through 3. Those both came at Denver, week 1. Right. He was sacked all of last season, just 17 times on the whole season. So he had 19 sacks since the beginning of 14. Now he has 5 tonight alone.
2 things. The blitz, they didn't do a great job of picking it up, but what's the #1 reason why he was sacked here tonight? Receivers that can't get open. So he held the ball. A lot of times we saw the initial protection okay, but that last play was an illustration. There's just not enough receivers still in this Baltimore offense to shake away from defenders when it's tight man-to-man coverage.
Well, he's not out of it if they make a stop right here. 3rd and 4. It's Bell. And he's tripped up right at the line of scrimmage. They'll bring back out Scobie for another field goal attempt.
I'm not second guessing here, but I just thought, man, if Michael Vick fakes the ball and runs around the edge, you know, you kind of lose track of what's going on sometimes. You know, it's a Steeler offense. You're not worried about those keepers and bootlegs. But
he's going to let this run down to about 106.
As Al Davis said to me one time on the field, he goes, I listen to you on Sundays. You think you got all the answers up there. I didn't quite imitate him, but I've said this to you a lot of times. But it's easy to see from up here to make those decisions. But
Pittsburgh takes its third charge team timeout. This is a 30-second timeout.
really good job of managing Mike Vick tonight in this game by the Steelers, by Todd Haley. They just worked their way through it. Played very safe. Not even really close, was there, of ever making a turnover by the Steeler offense.
But now here's, again, an illustration of why that reset,
yes,
the clock being reset to 2:04 was so crucial, because now
40 seconds.
Yeah, they're going to have time at least to get a few throws down the field. 41-yard field goal try this time for Scobie. Greg Warren, who was brought here by Bill Cowher back in 05. He'll snap it back to Jordan Berry. And this kick is also wide left.
There's a little breeze right to left. I've seen it all night when they're kicking the other way, and these two kicks. And that breeze was enough. Boy, does that change everything.
Boy, Scobie struggled with the opener, missing 2 at New England and now 2 at home tonight. This has been problematic for them since Sean Sweezen tore his ACL in the preseason. They brought in Garrett Hartley, the former Saint kicker. He had a hamstring injury, so they had to make a trade to go get Scobie from Jacksonville.
You could see the flags on top of the goalpost. They were out right to left, and that was just enough to take it outside.
No timeouts for the Ravens. 1 minute and 1 remaining. Middle of the field. And this is Waller.
Got to spike the ball immediately.
Yes, but they're getting there close enough for 1 or 2 throws to put Tucker perhaps in a situation to tie it. That's 18 yards to Waller, his first ever NFL catch.
How about that? Yeah, that's a good job. Just get the play off. I said spike it, but there's a little more time to get in field goal range.
Need about 15. Incomplete to Williams.
Because every time, not every time, but about 6 times tonight, when they're on the right hash or left, the corner from that side is blitzing. And it made Joe Flacco that time throw the football before he was ready.
They are going downwind. We've seen Flacco with heroic moments here in the past. You remember a Sunday night win here, finding Torrey Smith with about 25 seconds to go. Another year, Hushman Zada, he connected with him in the late going. Here to 32 seconds, sideline bound and incomplete. Pressure from Antoine Blake, who was blitzing.
Same thing, I just said it. When he's on the short side, he's on this hash. Watch the blitzers come on there, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's just one blocker, the running back, for 2 blitzers. And Joe Flacco, once again, just has to throw it away.
Even if he found someone open in the middle of the field, they would have plenty of time to go up and spike it, assuming now it had enough yardage to make Tucker a factor.
12 to 15 yards is what they need.
Coming after him, he gets it away. The man is there, and the Ravens are going to have a chance. That was Aiken coming down with it.
And what a job by Joe Flacco. He stands in there, and he takes it and throws a beautiful pass to the right sideline.
He knew he was going to get walloped, and he threw a laser right here.
Here comes, what do you think? Another
William
defensive
Gay.
back?
Well, from right here at the 32, it would be about a 50-yard field goal attempt. They have 23 seconds to go.
Still time to throw it inside and throw it out of bounds, clock it, whatever you need to do.
Low snap, handoff, Forsett. Stumbled at first, but plows ahead for about 8. Now they have to hurry to the line to spike it. That they do. It'll be about a 42-yard attempt by Tucker, who has always been clutch.
You go for the kick here. I'm looking over the sideline thinking they're not going to try to run another play, I don't think, with no timeout to get 5 yards closer with a quick out. I would not even have taken that chance. And
you see, he's got a little wind at his back.
Love it. You look at the goalposts. You see the little flags on top moving left to right.
42 yards to send this game to overtime. Kick on the way, and the kick is good. What a turn of events here.
The missed field goal, of course.
2 of them.
2 field goals, but also the fact that that one play was on the other side of the 2 minutes gave them a little hope. And they got that hope when the field goal was missed by the Steelers. Man. Well, that was some drive, and it was not easy to get it down the field. Joe Flacco did a good job throwing the football away, and finally got that one chance to make a play, and he made the big throw to Aiken.
This is a Baltimore team that was so backed up at 20-7 down in the 3rd quarter. They put up the last 13 unanswered, and somehow, with no timeouts, and your best wide receiver on the bench, and maybe your 3rd best target, Campanaro, knocked out of the game. Flacco's able to make a couple of throws. He gets the one to Aiken for 20.
Find a way to win this game is what they're hoping. Get these days off and kind of redo or go over the thought process, what they want to do as a team. And, you know, of course, what they would like to do is improve these next 10 days.
Passes past Archer, and the Steelers will have to snap it once at the 20. And then we'll find out about who's going to get the football in overtime. Well, you know, you watch the Ravens team as closely as we do through the years. They've had some never quit games before, of course, the mother of them all being the miracle at Mile High.
That's true.
There was a 4th down and forever situation a few years back as well at San Diego when Ray Rice took a little pass across the middle and was able to weave past the whole.
Propelled him to the Super Bowl, didn't it? Yeah. And we were here when Joe Flacco made a beautiful throw in the back of the end zone to win one of the games here late in the game.
So it's a 15-minute quarter. Each team guaranteed a possession unless the team that receives the football goes down and scores a touchdown on that first touch, that first possession. And if the score is tied after each team has a possession, the next score wins the game. No coaches' challenges. Booth reviews only.
All done by the booth.
Okay, gentlemen, here's the situation in overtime. We'll play up to 1 full period of 15 minutes. Both teams will have an opportunity to possess the ball. If the first team on offense scores a touchdown, the game's over. If the defense scores, the game's over. You each get 2 timeouts, and all replays will be handled upstairs. You good? Yeah. Good? Good. Okay. Baltimore, you are the visiting team. The breast cancer awareness symbol is heads. The T side is tails. What's your call?
Tails.
Tails is the call. It is heads. Pittsburgh, you win the toss. You want the ball.
Pick that way.
Pittsburgh wins the toss. We'll receive. Good luck.
So we'll be kicking to Pittsburgh when we begin the overtime in a moment. A little Thursday night bonus coverage here. A little overtime. The first Thursday night overtime game since Cameron Wake ended this one against Cincinnati in overtime with a safety.
Well, you look at this. Now the Steelers, they got to find a way to restart this offense, Jim. They've been in protect mode for so long.
In the sky, so it's going to be returned by Archer. And Archer with an excellent run back to about the 31. Brought down by Marlon Brown. Yes, this offense has been pretty stagnant in the second half.
Well, they have. They got the turnover, got the touchdown to start the third quarter, but just like I just said, they've been protected, they've been very careful, and sometimes this is where a coach earns his money. You got to have a drive starter, something that's a screen, maybe something the defense hasn't seen to get this offense moving again.
They've had 62 yards of offense since halftime. The drive started. passing, and that was very well covered, so it goes into the ground. Otherwise, Webb was in front of the receiver, Hayward Bay.
Oh, yeah. Ladarius Webb, he had it. He was going to cut in front of the receiver, and maybe Michael Vick saw it at the last second and threw it short. So Ladarius Webb, 21, bottom of the screen. Reading the quarterback. Oh, nice break, and he is read it well, timed it well, and was in position to make the play.
Antonio Brown at the top of the screen, 4 catches, 25 yards. He's had this long streak of at least 5 catches for 50 yards going. Here's Bell breaking the tackle and then tries to high step it to juke the defender. Big break though. Breakaway run that is by Bell for 22.
Changes everything. It's going to be 3rd and long. Nice job by Dumerville. They're outside. You see Lewis the safety, and then nobody makes the tackle. And you have to really think, here we are tonight, Thursday night. Are players getting tired? Is that why they missed the tackles? Boy, excellent job that time by Will Hill bringing him down before he cut it back for even more yardage.
And the Ravens have now allowed a 100-yard rusher for the first time in some 2 years as Bell is over 100. He's got another good 5 or 6 right here. He's at about 124 now for the night.
Well, you look at this, nice first down by Le'Veon Bell, just making plays with his talent. But look at it from the Ravens defensive side here. Always remember this new overtime rule. You don't have to gamble here to keep them out of field goal range or anything like that, Jim. Just make sure you don't give up the touchdown. Then your offense can come back out if they kick a field goal, and now you can play 4-down football, which good quarterbacks, hard to stop them in situations like that.
And you got a Steeler kicker who's missed 2 field goals in this direction in the last quarter of play. It's Bell. And he stopped at the 39. Now the first one was from 49 out, and it drifted. The wind was pushing it that way. And the second one was closer, and it too was off the mark left. And they got a 3rd and short here. 3rd and 2 on the way. Down with Davis on him. Vick's looking in his direction, and Davis almost was able to come away with it.
How about this job by Will Davis? Twice here in crunch time making plays. Antonio Brown just had a little bit of a step. I'm not sure if he caught it, if he's going to get the first down.
Timeout's called as the Steelers have called it.
Pittsburgh takes its first timeout.
They had brought the punter onto the field, but then Mike Tomlin said, hold on, I'm going to think about this for a minute. They called a timeout.
I listen, there's no thinking in my mind. You punt this football. You're playing Joe Flacco, who can stand in there. He makes one throw, and there's going to be a field goal attempt by the Ravens. Make them drive the field. They haven't picked up the blitzes.
Well, the Pittsburgh offense is still on the field. Look,
I can't imagine they're going to try for it. My guess is send somebody in motion, snap count. That's just my thought.
Mike Tomlin plays instincts all the time. That's why he's been going so often for 2 instead of the long extra point early in this season.
He's told us many times.
All about feel, he says.
I coach by my belly. The way it feels, I just go with that. So we'll see if he... Look, they've been conservative all night. Michael Vick is definitely calling a play off that wristband, too.
They send Miller and Bell into a slot to the left. And look, they have Villanueva, a backup tackle on the near side. And this is like running a 2-point play. They've been practicing it all week, and Vick is stopped by the Ravens defense.
Wow.
This was a set play in case they needed to go, I'm sure, for a 2-point conversion.
Yes.
And the Ravens were there to stop it.
You've been conservative with your decision-making all night. That's why I don't understand why you would take this chance here. And that is a really good job on the outside. Elvis Dumerville, Jimmy Smith, they got the edge. The block, but they can't account for the secondary coming up and making the play. And
wins.
I'm sure John Harbaugh had his, was sitting there going, I don't know if he'd like the fact that they were going forward on 4th down or not. Because
he loves it now.
Yeah, he loves it now.
Forsett in the backfield on a 132-yard night. Good piece of tackling coming up is Will Allen. Only 2. And Will Allen is shaken up.
Jim, what do you think? You do the whole night. They're doing it just conservative, play calling everywhere, and all of a sudden, 4th down, overtime, you decide to go for it.
Well, he had basically the exact same distance that they've had on these 2-point tries, 2 yards out. And he's been going for them all season.
That's right.
And
well, let me just say this.
Except for last week in St. Louis.
Could have cost them last week. That's right.
Yep.
The one they didn't in last week. I'm not like, the game would have changed. That could have cost them the game if the St. Louis Rams do anything on the offensive side to score.
And you saw the play they went with. They split out Villanueva to the right as a wide out. This was a play that had been practiced for presumably, a 2-point conversion attempt at some point in the game.
Absolutely. That was a 2-point conversion play. You're right. A little deception by putting Villanueva to the outside. But the problem is, as soon as they see the run coming, look at the defense, the secondary, Jimmy Smith coming on the outside. How about that in the backfield, and just no chance for it to be made.
Yeah, Dumerville never gave up any ground. Jimmy Smith. Robert Golden has come in at safety for Will Allen, who was injured on that last play.
I say all these things. I would love to see the Ravens play action, do whatever. Make sure you can block it up and give Joe Flacco, give these receivers, and they need the extra time to run down the field, maybe to make a move and create some separation and give him an easy throw. Sure Steve Smith, as he has that back contusion sitting over there, there's no way we'll see him get back in this game, that's for sure.
2nd and 8 on the way. Golden moving up on the line like he's going to blitz on his first play. And that's Harrison coming in. Flacco unable to find anyone in time and just unloads it.
Well, you got Bud Dupree once again back there along with Cameron Hayward. James Harrison on the outside. Good pressure by Bud Dupree makes Joe Flacco step up, and then allows Cameron Hayward to get the pressure on the inside. Good throwaway by Joe Flacco to keep this 3rd and somewhat manageable.
Now this Pittsburgh defense again has sacked Flacco 5 times tonight. Tied for the most in Flacco's career. 3rd and 8. And here's the pass down the field, and it's incomplete. Looked like Aiken had it for a moment, but Mitchell lowered the boom. And he's shaken up on the contact.
Good job by Aiken going up and getting the football, but Mitchell right there knocks it out. Well, we've seen some really good reactions from the Steeler safeties and some passes here tonight, Jim. Mike Mitchell and Will Allen.
Mitchell shaken up and on the Steeler sideline, about 2 yards off the field. Cook is out to punt. Antonio Brown, who's had the quietest game in the last 2+ seasons tonight. Don't forget, though, he's had 3 career punt return touchdowns. This one is a low kick. This hands it for a moment and picks it up and takes off. Antonio Brown down the sideline. He may have been out of bounds back near the 40. Yes, indeed. They're going to mark it back there. But Brown takes it from deep in their own territory, a 29-yard return.
What a return. Doesn't even look like it's there. He's just so quick and fast.
That's where he stepped out right there.
Yes.
It's at the 41.
Well, that energy he has saved in the passing game, he showed at that time in the return. It just kind of shows you how an offense, there he is where he steps out, how an offense changes with quarterbacks. All the things that you can throw down the field and use Antonio Brown. Even all the screens not available because it's the hand signals, checking to the right one. Too tough for Mike Vick to do in short notice.
First down, Vick. Vick throws, and he's got an open target. And there is Antonio Brown with his fifth catch.
Watch him go down the field. The tight split. Gets Jimmy Smith squared up, and then he breaks it out. He makes it look so easy. When I saw the route, I thought, oh, he's covered.
We talked to Jimmy Smith last night about how it is trying to defend on Antonio Brown. He says it's almost impossible.
Jackrabbit in a phone booth, I think that's how he described it.
And he goes down sideways at about the 40. So Brown with a 17-yard reception after a 29-yard punt return.
Well, excuse me, what you have to do on the defensive side, you see the down and distance, see where you are in the field, and you got to call defenses if you're DMPs accordingly. So you don't even want them to get a field goal try. So they're going to play a little pressure defense right here to try to keep the Steelers out of field goal range.
2nd and 7. Vick taken off. Vick 2 yards short of the first, brought down by Hill. But he is in field goal range with that scramble.
Yep, Will Hill, nice tackle in the open field, gets Michael Vick. Boy, years ago that would have been out the door. There's no question about that. Will Hill, he knows about scrambling quarterbacks. He was a great running quarterback at St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey.
I've known him a long time.
I have. I've watched him play a lot of games, a lot in high school, and he was great on both sides of the ball.
They're going to go with both backs here. Harrison watching on the big screen. Ben looking on from the sideline. Vocal all night. Both Williams and Bell are in there. But it's going to be Vick with the football. Jump pass. Bell. And he stopped a yard short. It's Hill. We just talked about him. He makes the stop here. And it's going to be about a 50-yard field goal attempt.
Will Hill just has a tremendous feel for the game. That's his greatest attribute. He just can play. And what a job, once again, running through the receiver and taking him right down.
They're not going to kick it here.
Well, why would they? This confidence is shattered right after the other two misses. And so Mike Tomlin's not going to put this game in the foot of his kicker.
Guy's been in the league for 12 years, all-time scorer at Jacksonville. And he's missed the last two by a fraction to the left. And timeout's called here by the Steelers.
But let's go into this, because I like to coach every once in a while.
It's a good time right now.
I'd kick it.
I would too.
I would kick it. The ball's traveling. The distance is not a factor. He's got some experience. He knows the wind, what it is.
Yeah.
I would definitely kick this football. Look, the kickers around the league and the years are so accurate. You just think, okay, there's no way he can adjust and make this kick under pressure if you do it.
He's been in this league a long time, and he's faced adversities. He's faced game-winning situations many times. I remember him making a 55-yarder as a member of the Jaguars at Indianapolis once to win it on the last play of the game. His career long was 59. That was actually a 59-yarder to beat Indy on that occasion. 4th and 1, they're going to eschew the field goal attempt and go for it. Another big gamble on 4th down, and it's incomplete. Wow. Ravens take over.
Had him. He's wide open. Michael Vick never got squared up and got in position to throw it out there in front of the receiver. He was kind of in the way. That's why the football went high and was a little off target. Tough throw. You got to really spin the body. Just never gets out of the way of it, off balance, and that's why the throw was off target.
And there was Jimmy Smith to shove him to make sure that was not going to be a catch. And what do you think of Harbaugh's was thinking when they didn't go for the field goal?
I'd like to know if he does find a way to win this game, what he's going to do when it's over. There's got to be, they've just hung on, found a way to be in this situation.
Ravens need about 30 yards to set up Tucker, and that's not a good start to this drive for the Ravens as Hayward and Dupree double up on Forsett.
Boy, Cameron Hayward, boy, he's having some night. They expect him to be a great defensive end in his 3-4 front. And every time we talk to the coaches, they talk about he just keeps improving, getting better. And they need one of these defensive linemen to become a force, especially going after the quarterback.
Will Allen, who was shaken up before, the safety, he's back in. 2nd and 11, they go to the ground again. And there's a hole there for Forsett, who slides near the first. Let's see where they come in. They got him about a foot shy. Nope, it's not a first, Justin, even though you signal for it. They're going to mark it just shy of the first.
Well, they just watch the push. Yonda, Wagner, everybody, Zuda, the center, all getting good blocks. The backside, they're pushing it down, so if they run left, it's the right side pushing, and those cutbacks have been a big part of this offense for the Ravens tonight. Won't be no quarterback sneak here, Jim.
Third down and a foot. Forsett's got it. That was the other thing that you're talking about that time when they failed on the sneak. They did not have Forsett in the game. It was 2nd and 2. They did not have Forsett in for 2nd, 3rd, or 4th down, and he's on a 147-yard night. But Tucker, he is craving a chance to get this opportunity to win one here. And you can see it. They need some 25 yards. Maybe not even that with Tucker's leg as Flacco's able to connect here with Aiken.
Nice play call. They've been running the football, the play action. I'll tell you what, that was a good little throw by Joe Flacco. He threw it to the back shoulder coming across the field, and otherwise it's going to be knocked down or trouble by the safety flying up there.
Now with the 44 of the Steelers. 11-yard pass play. Set again. Blake comes over to help out on that tackle with Williams. Vince Williams hit him first.
Boy, Forsett, 26 carries, 150 yards.
There are a lot of people saying, hey, what's with this running game? Maybe these young backs ought to get a chance. And Forsett's shown the firepower he provided a year ago. It's the 2nd most yards in a game in his career, coming off a 1,200-yard season. Buck Allen's in for him, 2nd and 7. Here's the rookie from Southern Cal securing it, and they're definitely now in Tucker field goal territory. They will not bypass their kicker from 50 yards out.
No, I don't think they will. What a job of this offensive line. Just the run game tonight. I thought if they said many times to all of you the last couple of days, for the Ravens to win, Joe Flacco is going to have to be really sharp, and they're going to win it with their passing game. But it's been the running game that's kept them in it and give them a chance here
timeout
to win this game.
By the Ravens. Remember, Tucker actually made
his
one
first timeout
indoors from
This is the 32nd
61
timeout.
out to win a nighttime affair at Detroit back in 2013. From here, if they don't pick up any yardage on 3rd and short, you'd be talking about 53 yards. Remember, the Steelers decided to bypass the chance from 50 to win it. So here's that play on 4th down when they decided not to go with Scobie.
Yeah, that was a good shot. Just how Michael Vick never turned enough to get himself in position just to make a very routine throw for any quarterback in this league.
Third and 1. He's stopped.
Forsett.
No gain.
See what he does? Yeah, the kicker's coming in. That was some job, Jim, as I was just watching the play. They lined up those linebackers deep, and they were all going to just run to wherever the ball was going to be handed off to, and it made the play to force this long field goal.
Down 13 at one time. Time running out in the fourth quarter, given one last breath of a chance. They drive down. Tucker ties it from 42 yards out, and now, unthinkable at times, they can win it from 52. Tucker for the victory, for the first win of the year for the Ravens, and Tucker's kick is good. The Ravens pull it off at Pittsburgh.
Played to Breeze, absolutely flushed the kick, and you saw it move left to right down the middle.
He played the wind.
He sure did.
He knew it was going to slide it a little bit, push it a little bit to the right.
On behalf of the entire
Another 3-point margin of victory in this great rivalry. But what a turn of events. A game that the Ravens in many respects had to have it. And it looked so improbable with about 2 minutes to go in regulation.
Well, most of the night it looked improbable.
Yep.
Many times during the game they were dominated. The situations were really never in their favor.
Holding hands there with Arthur Brown, and backup quarterback Matt Schaub was John Harbaugh. And now Mike Tomlin's going to be fielding a number of questions about why didn't you go for the win?
I think he just said as it was kicked, he goes, my bad. Read his lips. I'm not saying, it looked like he said my bad. It has to come back to that decision to go for it on fourth down.
Ravens will return home in some 10, 11 days and be hosting a week from Sunday the Cleveland Browns. They, in many respects, may have saved their season. Let's go down to Tracy.
Thanks so much, Joe, to come back down 13 on the road against your bitter rival. No Steve Smith Sr. Talk about the fight in this team that they showed tonight.
Oh, I think you could see it. It's crazy because we come in here, we watch film, we think we can come in here and throw the ball a little bit, but it's this typical ugly game that you play in Pittsburgh. I don't know why you expect or want to expect anything else. It's what you're going to get. You're going to get this kind of game, and you're going to have to be able to grind it out, and it's going to be able to, who can stay mentally tough. I mean, hey, I turned the ball over 2 times, and in this type of game, that usually loses the game for you big time. You usually can't recover from that. So you got to give it to our defense down the road there. Obviously, they kept going for it. They didn't want to kick the ball there. And, I wish we got a little bit closer and, probably maybe played a little bit more aggressive down the stretch there. But when I walked over to the sideline, I said, you got to let him win the game. I mean, he's probably the best kicker in the league. And in that situation, you got to let him go do what he did.
He certainly showed that. Your coach talked about just getting out of the rut. How much confidence does this win give you guys going forward?
Hey, well, it's a big win. I think we're a pretty confident group no matter what. But anytime you win a football game and you can fight through one like this, it definitely does a lot for your team, especially a young team like we have. We just got to make sure we keep at it and get our bodies back and go get one next week too.
You get that first win. Congratulations. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
So Flacco victorious.
That was great.
Vic coming in and trying to learn this system. What about Pittsburgh and where they go from here with, again, Roethlisberger's going to be out for at least another 3 games or so.
Well, let me just say this. Joe Flacco, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, you just never know. We thought he was going to throw the ball, turns into ugly. That was interesting, and it was so true. But for Michael Vick, he did enough tonight and played safe and did enough things that make you think that we can open up this offense, teach him a lot more in the next 10 days to give our team even a greater chance to win. But Michael Vick was solid all night long.
You remember what John Harbaugh said last night? He was pretty tight-lipped.
Yes, he was.
We've known him for a long time. He's been one of the more open coaches we've ever had the pleasure of working with. But he's just said, you've got to fight through it. This is a storm. And we just got to fight through it, stick together. And when we come through this storm, we're going to be a true team. I'm at peace right now. He looked at you.
Yeah.
And he said, because I know we're a good team. This was quite a test tonight. And that team never gave up.
Well, if this can't give you emotion to finish, to start playing and doing things a little different, I don't know what could, because that was some gut check and some job by the Ravens pulling this out.
Some wins, they all count the same, they say, but
right.
Some wins are more important than others. This was a huge one tonight.
It was. It was truly a desperation game, and they pulled it out.
Coming up next, the Mazda Post Game Show. Back with more after this on CBS and NFL Network.